What's up, guys? Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to talk about the things I would fix with Marvel Strike Force. So a lot of people complain to me that I don't complain enough. Sorry? I just don't like complaining. I don't think it helps that much. I do give feedback to the devs when I get the opportunity to do so, and I definitely let them know when I think something is out of balance, unfair. I don't hesitate to tell them when I think they should fix things, but at the end of the day, I find that if I'm just constantly fueling the fires for people who want to be upset, then it just makes more people quit, and it just makes it a more toxic environment to play in, and if enough people quit, then the dream of what this game can be, goes with it. So at the end of the day, I want to put out positive content, and I want my videos to brighten someone's day, and I certainly don't want anyone to be watching my videos just to hear, this sucks, this is bullshit, this isn't fair, this is crap, and you know what, when I hear that, it just kind of drags me down. So I assure you, I do have issues with some of the things in the game, but overall I try to just put out positive content. So I've got some notes over here. We're just going to kind of get into it. I've kind of categorized the things I would like to see fixed into 3 different categories. The first would be easy fixes. Things that you can just... I've never built a game, right? I don't know how long it would take to do, but it seems to me that these things could be fixed in like an afternoon or like a few days tops. The second category we'll call system fixes, and that would be things that would require a bit of an overhaul of a system. Probably would take some work, but ultimately would be really good for the overall health of the game. And then the third topic we'll just call a philosophy fix, and it's just a bit of a philosophy that I would like to see more prevalent in the game design that we've been seeing thus far. But, I do want to mention this. One thing that you won't see in this video is something that I've kind of considered like add-ons. So I was asking people, what kinds of things do you want me to talk about? Kind of to give me some ideas. I already had plenty of ideas, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't leaving out anything. And plenty of people's feedback involved just adding things to the game. It'd be really cool if we could sell items and get new items. It'd be really cool if we had live PvP. And I don't consider those fixes. Those are new features. So while I can think of a ton of things that I would add to the game that would make it even more fun, I'm really looking at just existing systems that I would tweak or change based on what we already have to improve the game, as opposed to just adding in something altogether. But, so on that note, first things first, let's talk about some of the easy fixes. So, first and foremost, and some of these easy fixes, they're not necessarily huge pain points, although some of them are, but like this one, it just seems like such an easy fix, the achievement system. The achievement system, well, I guess I should back up. There's nothing wrong with the achievement system. The achievement rewards are atrocious. They're just totally out of touch with the player base. Like this one, spend 450,000 Blitz credits, right? That's not easy to do. I've been playing pretty much nonstop for 10 months now, and I haven't hit it yet. And when I do, what's my big payoff? What's my congratulations? Less than a quarter of a premium orb, and I didn't do the math, but like a 1/7 of a training orb. They could be giving me 100 training orbs. I wouldn't care at all. So some of these rewards are just entirely out of touch, and it does not seem to me like it would take very long to just redo them. The other thing is Hulk being the achievement character. Like, I love having a character that's exclusive to achievements. Hulk is just not that good. There's some easy ways to fix Hulk, like give him more speed and more damage, and give him Thanos resistance when he's taunting. Something like that would at least make him usable right away. But either put a better character as the achievement character, or improve Hulk. But at the end of the day, I believe it's still currently impossible to get Hulk to 7-star. So you would think he would have to be really good, and he's not. So I would just overhaul the achievement system. It can't possibly take that much time to make it so much better. Next, the arena shop. So if you look in the Blitz shop, we've got orbs. If you look at the raid shop, we've got orbs. And then we go to the arena shop, no orbs. Is there any reason for this at all? I cannot come up with a reason why we wouldn't have arena orbs. And clearly they have the technology to put it in. So this is just kind of a small thing, but just put in arena orbs. Why can't we buy arena orbs? Kind of keeping with this theme, standardize the pricing. If you look in the Blitz store, you've got 500 and 400 for 5 shards. If you look in the arena store, you've got 500 and 400 for 5 shards. Then we go into the raid store, and you've got 1400 and 1125 for 5 shards. I don't know where they got these numbers. It seems silly to me. The difference in price between the blue items and the purple items, it's really not a big jump. And then these down here, I don't think I know anyone who's ever intentionally bought these. Just naturally getting these, like you can't get that many characters to gear tier 12, and I've got 84 of these, and according to this, it's only needed by Kree Reaper. You know, I've got 92 of these. It says it's needed by 3 people. Just super confusing. No one's buying them. I don't know what they're doing in there. When you go to the orbs, the raid orbs are an okay value considering the value of the shards. The blue gear orb, really no one should ever be buying when you get random pieces, and there's so many pieces that there's no real point in gambling, especially when it's barely cheaper than just buying the pieces individually and then guarantee you don't get crap. The purple gear orb is an insult to people's intelligence. No one should ever buy the purple gear orb. It's not even close to worth it. Literally, you can just buy the components so much cheaper. I don't understand how this is still in the game. The orange gear orbs at one point were purchasable, and then they weren't again. But yeah, just the raid shop is a mess. It wouldn't take very long to overhaul the raid shop. You know, again, I've never built a game, but looking at it, I feel like I could do it in an afternoon. So, seems like a simple fix to me. Next thing, and I did want to touch on this for sure. So, you're going to hear me talk about a couple things regarding combating burnout. So, when you play a game for a long time, it's very common in the top tiers, people start getting burnt out. I'm hearing from several people that it's just starting to get a little bit repetitive and burnt out. Now, I do hear these complaints more towards the end of a patch cycle. As soon as a new patch hits, we get all this fresh content, and then everyone's excited and engaged again. But at the end of the day, you want to avoid the game starting to feel like a job, and obviously not in my case, but for the average player. And so one of the easiest things, I think, one of the easiest ways to do that would be a day off from raids, right? Pretty simple. There's a couple ways to do it, you know, just no raids on Sunday is one way to do it. You can just have like one day off between raid cycles every 8 days. So, you know, there's every week it's a different day of the week, but you get that one day off. You could just do like 2 or 3 days off between raid seasons. But I've had several people tell me like, I enjoy raiding, but just like a day off here and there would be nice. Like, it gets crazy. And I feel that in most other games that I've played, they have built in like little windows to give you a day off here and there. You know, again, this is what I do for a living, so it's not an issue for me to just play all day every day and never miss a day of raid. But I totally get when people have real life obligations and stuff. It'd be nice to at least have the option to maybe schedule some things in your personal life around having a day off of raids if it were predictable or something like that. And then the pushback to that, I've heard some people say, oh, well, then we'd get less rewards. All right, so you just, you know, if you account for 1 in every 8 days of raids being skipped, then you just increase all the rewards by 1/8, you know, whatever it is, or 1/9, you get it. So it wouldn't be too tough to do. Next thing is the training module milestone. So these milestones are fairly reasonable to accomplish even for free-to-play players. The gold milestone, if you save up some gold, it's not tough to accomplish the entire thing. Same thing with the spending energy. If you save up your energy, as long as you're just spending the normal cores you get every day from Arena, it's usually achievable for you to hit all the energy. However, the training modules, never going to happen. It's an outrageous amount, and it's not just how many training modules you'd have to use. It's the amount of gold it would cost you to do that much training is like 5 times. I haven't even checked the math. It's just ridiculous. But something like 5 times or 20 times the amount of gold you need for the spend gold milestone. It's really crazy. And even if you saved up to be able to do it, it gives the exact same reward as the other milestones. It's not worth it at all, and it's not repeatable. And by that I mean if you do that 1 week, the next time that milestone comes around, there is no way you're ready to do it again. So it's silly to have 2 of the 3 milestones that we get right now totally achievable, and then 1 of them totally unachievable. And everyone just kind of looks at it and laughs. They're like, what? A, I would never do that. That's just so much to ask. It's silly. And then B, look at the rewards. They're not worth it. Like, I'm perfectly fine just missing out on those rewards. What it requires for you to spend to hit the milestone should not be so much more than what you'd receive for actually hitting it. So if you want to have milestones that are really crazy, at least give them a crazy payoff. So whether you make milestones hard to hit with big payoff, or you make them reasonable to hit with low payoff, either way, just be consistent. Don't make them hard to hit with low payoff. It's just silly. Next, Blitz payouts. So a lot of people have different views on how Blitz should pay out, but to me, I just don't understand why they are sticking with a flat number, top 1,500. Theoretically, with little exception, except from like people quitting the game or people being out of town or sick or whatever it is, for the most part, the top 1,500 should be about 99% the same 2,000, 2,500 people kind of rotating in and out of the top 1,500, and it leaves no room for growth. As strong as the other people in the other brackets are, until they can beat a flat X amount of people, they cannot break into that high bracket, and it just seems really silly. If they made it a percent, whatever that percent ends up totaling out to, so the top 1,500, whether it's top 1%, top 2%, I don't know, doesn't matter, you can just make it a percent. Even if you make it top 0.5%, that allows it to scale. Then as the game gets more players, which you have to hope that it will, then that allows more people to make it into that top percent as the game scales. So that seems like the common sense solution to me, is to make it a percent. And also the payout, it's very inconsistent. I don't, again, really a lot of the things in this game that puzzle me are the rewards. I would love to know who does the calculations for what the payouts are. And I say this especially thinking back to the original raid season payouts, where we looked at them and the immediate reaction was like, are you crazy? Where did you even come up with this? It just makes no sense. And then the response to that was, oh, okay, we took another look. We changed up the raid season payouts, and they were like 20 times better. It wasn't even like, all right, like 50% better. No, it was literally like 2,000% better. And it cost them nothing to do that. They just were like, oh, is this not enough? Here's way more. So I'm not here saying like Blitz doesn't give good rewards, we need more rewards. What I'm saying is, I feel like they play kind of fast and loose with how much you get, where you get, and sometimes they create really big gaps between fitting into one bracket versus another, and I'd really like to understand where it comes from. But so again, I don't love this. As someone who can literally always place in the top 1,500, I would rather it be a percent so more people can get it, and so as the player base scales, more people can get into it. But this jump right here, right? So if I'm not mistaken, I'm either in the top 100 for collection power, or I'm really close. I'll be like 105 or something. But I'm perfectly capable of placing in the top 100. But I never do. And it's because it's not worth it at all. The difference here, 50 Mega Orb Fragments, which is negligible. Hardly anyone cares about Blitz Orb Fragments at all. And then 25 Storm Shards difference. It's just not even kind of worth it, and there's so much risk involved. You can do so much better. The fact that the person who scores 101st gets the same rewards as the person who scored top 1,500 seems very silly. And if you do make it into the top 100, 25 more shards, the amount of extra hours it takes me to get into the top 100, I can just spend like $20 or $25 on 4 or 5 storm orbs, and that's it. I'll get the same amount of shards, and for an hour or two's worth of wages, I will save myself many, many, many hours of doing Blitz round the clock. So, yeah, I don't really know where these numbers came from. I don't understand the top 1500 and then top 100. There should definitely be like a top 500 bracket. But, so yeah, again, it shouldn't be a tough fix, but just this payout structure doesn't make sense to me. Oh, and then us, like, in the top 1500 getting 75 Mega Orb fragments, I can't be excited about that because, like, I get that I'm getting the Storm Shards instead, which is arguably a better prize, but giving me 75 Mega Orb fragments means, again, I didn't do the math on this, but what, like, in 7 months I'll get 1 Mega Orb? I can't be excited about that. There's no point in listing it here. So yeah, I don't, compared to, like, one step down, getting 875 Mega Orb fragments, it just seems kind of silly. So I would like to see that looked at. Next, Blitz Timers. So I've gotten a lot of mixed feedback on Blitz Timers, and I think I have an optimal solution, but so at the end of the day, it comes down to, do people like playing more often? How often are people able to play? Etc., etc. And so, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at this from the frame of that Blitz Timers were done to incentivize people to log in more often, right? I believe that that's the idea behind the 2-hour Blitz Timers, is every 2 hours you have an excuse to log into the game. So there is an easier way to get people to log in constantly. It's just not being utilized properly, and it's these crappy free orbs right here. If you want people to log in every 2 hours, just put a really rare chance of a big payout in those free basic orbs. And again, it can be like 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, but if you put like 500,000 gold in there as a super rare drop, 100 shards of a character as a super rare drop, 100 purple or orange ability materials as a super rare drop. There's so many things, 50 advanced basic catalysts. There's so many things you could put as a super rare drop that almost no one would ever hit, but they would log in every couple of hours to open it because anyone could be that one. Whereas with the current system, I've literally never been even remotely upset about missing one of my free basic orbs because they suck. They're fairly valueless. They give like 10 gold, just things that like it wasn't even worth the time to click open on them a lot of the time. So I think that's your solution, getting people to log in more often. That said, with Blitz, people have mixed feelings about the every 2 hours. It does seem that people are more happy with being able to play Blitz more, and it allows people who want to play more to overcome the people who don't want to play as much, and therefore are able to overcome people with bigger rosters. And that's good, but I also hear plenty of people who can't play Blitz as much as they'd like to because they have jobs or families or whatever, and they literally can't. And so one of the things you run into is mercenary services. So a mercenary service is when you would pay someone to play when you can't. And the current system, because it resets every 2 hours, incentivizes that. You're already seeing stories pop up on Reddit about people, it doesn't make sense how they scored this many points, but it does. They just have someone playing Blitz for them while they're asleep. And that way they get extra points every 2 hours. And you never want a system that encourages that type of thing. So the solution that I think works best is to give people 6 free refreshes every day or 7 free refreshes every day, and that's it. Just cap it at a certain amount. And if you do that, it'll still take 3 hours of straight Blitz play if you wanted to knock it all out. 7 free refreshes of every character. You're talking many, many hours in a day to do them all at once. But at least you could do them all at once if you wanted to, and then do whatever you wanted with the rest of your day. You'd still have plenty of people who treat it just like now, where they would do one rotation now, and then another rotation in a couple hours, another rotation in a couple hours. But as long as you can get to a point at some point where you can be done for the day and you'd have to pay to keep going, you'll still have people who want to pay to keep going. And you won't have people who feel like what they're being asked to do is impossible given their schedule. Obviously, there would still be some people, but I think it would just be better overall for everyone. So that's what struck me as the best solution. But even if you just put a cap on it right now, if you changed nothing and you just capped it at, like, you know, after the 5th free refresh for the day, it's done, I think people would be a lot happier with that as well, as opposed to feeling like they should play through the night or whatever it is. Alright. And finally, the last thing that strikes me as something that could be fixed very quickly, the rewards for Dark Dimension. Now, I realize we're getting super first whale problems here, but I have 100% of Dark Dimension, and the payout and payoff for it, rather, it's just not that good. It is a ton of orange gear, and that doesn't sound like a bad thing, like, oh, you've got all this orange gear, that's great, except right now the toughest content in the game is Dark Dimension, and I beat all of Dark Dimension. I didn't need any orange gear. I don't doubt that in the new difficulty of Dark Dimension I will need that orange gear, but it's kind of valueless to me now, which is unfortunate. And here's the other thing. I did it with all tier 10 and 11 characters. None of my characters are even tier 12. Only a handful of them are tier 11. Most of them are tier 10. So it doesn't really make sense the way they're handling the payout for what you're getting for 100%ing Dark Dimension. The 100,000 gold per node is not a lot, and there's an easy way to make this way more satisfying. You can make each node have a rare chance to drop things the players actually want. So if every node had a chance, even like a 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 chance to drop 500, 1,000, or 1,000,000 gold, or, you know, 100 or 150 advanced basic catalysts, or 150 purple ability materials, or, you know, 100 or 150 orange ability upgrade materials, stuff like that. There's so many things that you could loot that would make it exciting. It would give the game mode replay value, and it would just feel a lot more satisfying than the current payout, especially because, and again, I realize this is a short-term problem, but I know some other people who've 100%ed Dark Dimension, and the orange gear that they've got, they can't even take a character to gear tier 13 because there's still at least one item you can't make for every character to get them to gear tier 13. So it didn't even really further their character progress very much. And you really only get that if you 100% Dark Dimension, right? So for someone who's only 50% of Dark Dimension, literally all they've got is 500,000 gold. That's not a lot. That's less than 1 day's worth of gold that you earn on average. So yeah, it's just kind of unsatisfying. Whereas if you had that rare chance to get a good drop from a node, it would make it fun, and it would give people a reason to keep replaying it, which is kind of the idea of timed mode. So yeah, those are the simple fixes that I think can be implemented pretty quickly and easily. So on to system fixes. So here's the first system fix, and again, I've never made a game. I don't know how tough this would be to implement. It seems like it would be kind of simple to me, but as we mentioned earlier, some people experience some degree of burnout. And when I ask those people, like, all right, well, what do you find, like, always fun, always engaging? And the answer is always, oh, just fresh, new content. I like figuring out a new puzzle, finding the right team to beat a new challenge. They just like doing things that aren't doing the same thing over and over and over. Kind of common sense. So I came up with a really simple system for how things like raid nodes could always be fun and unique. Right now, a raid node, just as an example, will have 10 enemies. And it's always the same 10 enemies. And if you take the same team into it every time, it's always the same RNG. And it, you know, like at this point, my raid, it's the same formula every single time. I'm just going through the motions. The fact that people are saying, oh, I miss when we could auto-fight raids, not a good sign. So what you can do instead is, instead of having like the same 10 enemies that always drop down, have a pool of like 20 possible enemies, and 10 of those 20 are what you fight each time. And that way you'll fight different combinations of the same enemies, and so you'll never be surprised. It's not like one random day there'll be an Ultron on that node. But, you know, just some of the minions, just mix it up. You know, one day there's 2 Hydra snipers, the next day there's 2 AIM infectors, things like that, just to mix it up and make it a little bit more fresh and exciting. And even if you did that like just on non-boss nodes, or even if you only did it on boss nodes, whatever it is, it would be a fun way to make each raid a little bit of a unique experience. And I think there are ways to do that without making people feel like, oh, I got screwed, I brought the wrong team in, and now we're not going to be able to beat it because the wrong minions dropped compared to what I was expecting to face. I do think there's a way to do it where no matter what combination of them drop, the same types of teams designed to beat the node will always be able to. So, yeah, I think that's a fun way to keep it fresh, and so I'd like to see something like that. Next is the orange mat upgrades. So orange mat upgrades have two distinct issues. They're super, super rare, which is not necessarily an issue, and most of them are just kind of alright. And that's an issue because of how rare they are. So there's two directions to go, and either direction to go with these would be good. Either make them more common. Literally, if orange mats were 3 times as common as they are now, it would still take a very, very long time to get anywhere near the amount I would actually want on my roster, so we can totally handle getting more of them, especially when very few of the upgrades are particularly significant. Or, if you want to keep them super rare, that's fine. I actually think they're better super rare, but then they'd have to go in and change so many of the abilities to make them really wow. You know, it's something that some people work many months to get one orange ability upgrade, and for them to just get something like, oh, it does 40% more damage, a lot of them are just so lackluster. And so while there are a small handful that are pretty good, you know, pretty much everyone, it's not possible to get them all perfect, but it wouldn't take too much work to just go in and make sure that every character has at least one orange upgrade that's really, really awesome, and really worth getting, and really satisfying. So I would like to see that balanced out more. So yeah, either orange mat's more common or orange upgrades better overall, because they're too rare to be that meh. Let's see. Alright, moving on, the arena system. So I would like to see some changes to the arena system someday. The current arena system is kind of a mess. It encourages collusion among people at the top. A lot of people are confused by the slingshotting, which is where, you know, they were at rank 54, they fought someone at rank 47, they win, and then they end up at rank 66. I'm like, what even just happened? I don't understand. How the heck does this work? Is someone hacking? There's no way to see how many times you were attacked and how well your defense is actually doing. There's just a lot currently up with the arena system. So the change that I'd like to see is moving it to more of like an elo system, or more like a ladder system, where you lose points every time your defense is defeated, and you win points every time you win a match, and at the end of the day, the people that win more matches gain more points, and the people that maintain a better win-loss ratio go higher in the arena, and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously I don't have a perfect system listed out, but I do know that I've played various games of this type, and this is one of the more janky arena systems that I've seen, and it clearly has a lot of holes, and it would seem to me that there's a better way to do it than having everyone try to fight right at the last minute before the same payout every day, where you have people colluding to work together to keep certain spots so that you can't even challenge someone to get into the fight to take the spot. It's just kind of a messy system. Moving on, so this one's a bit of a conceptual change, but I would make stars more significant. As it currently stands, one of the toughest things to do for a character right now is get 200 of their shards or 300 of their shards to star them up. And the ultimate bonus that character receives from getting starred up is less significant than giving them like 5 or 10 levels, or giving them like 4 or 5 pieces of gear. And both of those things are so much easier to do. So I'd really like to see stars make a big difference. Now I know with red stars coming, we don't really know anything about them, so there's no way to know how well this is going to fix that issue. But at the end of the day, stars need to be a bigger deal because of how much harder they are to acquire. They've started artificially making stars important by making it so you have to be 6-star to get in a Dark Dimension, by making it so you need certain characters at 5-star for certain events. But aside from characters needing stars to meet certain prerequisites, there's an opportunity to make so many more people happy by making stars a bigger jump, and that is, if it was a bigger jump going from 1 star level to another, a legendary character could be released at 2 star or 3 star, and way more people would be able to get that legendary character. And that may sound counterintuitive, like, well, the whole idea is that they're supposed to be super exclusive, but they still would be super exclusive at a high star level. And if there was a significant difference in star level, which currently there isn't really, you would still have just as many people try to get the high star level version of the character because they want to use them, right? If you couldn't even use a 3-star version of a legendary character in your arena, or you'd get crushed, you couldn't bring him in a raid, like, you still wouldn't be able to use them. You'd still want the higher version of the character. At least you'd get to obtain the new character, albeit a weak version of them, and you could still bring them into Blitz and appreciate their animations and have a little bit of fun and feel like you participated in the event. But everyone I talk to would still want the legendary characters at 5-star, and especially if 5-star was a significant power difference from a 4-star, people would still push really hard to get them at that minimum effective level. But right now, with very few exceptions, having a character at 5-star is more than enough for just about everything. I have not needed 7-star characters for anything. I beat all the challenges with most of the characters at just like 5-star, beat all of the campaign with most of the characters just at like 5-star. The only thing I needed 6-star for was Dark Dimension because I wasn't given a choice. So I'd like to see stars be a bigger factor. And then finally, another bit of first whale problems, Ultimus Orbs. I only bring this one up because every single person I've talked to echoes this sentiment, which is that Ultimus Orbs are dumb. And I say that because you can pull shards of characters you already have at 7-star, which is how you got the Ultimus Orb. It's a terrible feeling saving up tons and tons of extra shards of characters you already have maxed to buy an Ultimus Orb to get the same shards. It's literally like paying $20 for a $1 bill. It's just incredibly unsatisfying. It actually feels like someone is actively conning you. It feels like a slap in the face. It's not satisfying. So, obviously one of the fixes, just make it so that people can't pull characters they already have maxed out of an Ultimus Orb. But if that's too specific, just make it a shop instead. Just make them convert into a currency, and you can spend that currency. You can set the price on Ultimus shards really, really high, so it still takes people a guaranteed very long time to get him. That's fine. But at least they would have the option to buy some of the other characters, like, Ultimus is so expensive, I don't want to farm him, but I'll spend some of my Ultimus currency on Scarlet Witch. Or if you don't want to give other character shards as the rewards in that store, just put other things people want. Like, you can convert it to a very small amount of gold, you can convert it to a very small amount of advanced basic catalysts, but the last thing you want to convert it to are things that are of no use whatsoever that just feel unsatisfying, period. So I really, really hope they do something about the Ultimus Orbs. And that actually wraps up for the system fixes. I'm going to get into the philosophy fix, but first we've got a basic orb. Let's see what terrific loot we get from this basic orb. Awesome. We got 10 gold. Super helpful. You can spend that 10 gold on absolutely nothing in the entire game. There's literally nothing that costs 10 gold. The cheapest green materials in the supply store cost 2,500 gold. So thank you for that. I've got 198 of these blue items saved up. You gave me a single one, but whatever. Okay, that's not exactly making my day here. If I didn't get this, it'd make no difference to me. And then I realized, like, the shards add up, but I can't be excited because the luckiest pull I could have got would have been 5 shards of a character. So even if most of the pulls look like this, if I knew I had the chance to get a lot of shards, even if it was a really low chance, I'd be so much more excited about opening these. But I mean, that's just a perfect example of an orb I couldn't care less about. Whenever I miss a basic orb, it doesn't bother me in the slightest because they pretty much all look like that. But alright, so the philosophy fix I want to see, and I realize this video's gone kind of long, so I'll try to make this kind of quick. But at the end of the day, I would like to see this game cater more to the free-to-play players. And I know it's easier said than done, and I know that it ultimately comes off sounding like hoping for a company whose whole mission is to make money in the mobile gaming sector. It comes off kind of like asking them, like, hey, could you guys just make less money? That'd be cool. But really, it's not so much that. So, before this, I was a full-time League of Legends streamer, and one of the things I absolutely loved about League of Legends is that it was insanely free-to-play friendly. And if you look at some of the biggest games out right now, League of Legends, Fortnite, they don't require you to pay for anything. There's no way to buy an advantage. They're just fun. At the end of the day, they're just fun, and people want to play them. They get their friends to play them, and they make money because they have so many people participating. And, they offer cosmetics and cool things to show off to people. A lot like this game where they do the new character offers, and people want to show off the new character and show off their super strong team. But this game is also a very social game, and so just looking at the numbers again, there's no way to buy an advantage and absolutely nothing you ever have to purchase in League of Legends, and they made $2.1 billion last year. And while I realize that it's kind of comparing apples to oranges because this is a mobile game, they are proof that it can be done, and so I'm not suggesting that this game converts to, just super free-to-play friendly, only buying cosmetics, but just kind of trending in that direction would be a big step, I think. And so like Fortnite, Time Magazine cited that they made $645 million in 3 months. And again, there's just no way to buy an advantage. It's just so many people are playing the game, and it's just kind of natural. The more people that have fun in the game, they tell their friends, and at the end of the day, people like spending money on their hobbies, right? If this is your main thing you do for fun, and you like playing all day, you want to spend money on it. So, some of the purchases I've made in this game were just because I enjoy the game, I want to have fun. They weren't things that I needed. So, I know too many people who tell me regularly they wish they had an excuse to buy things in this game. They want to spend on the game, but they keep being put off by offers that make you feel like you have to spend in the game. And so I don't think there's any way to trend towards being slightly more free-to-play friendly without just seeing a reduction in earnings immediately. But I think ultimately, if you attract more free-to-play players to the game, everyone has more fun, everything gets better, and it just ends up making more money. That seems like what would work for me. And I say this because even the whales enjoy being up on a pedestal and looking down at the common folk and having people admire, oh, that's so crazy, you got that 7-star, whoa, you unlocked that character, wow, how good are they? They like the glory. And so the more free-to-play players you have, a 1 in 100 roster becomes a 1 in 1,000 roster. And the whales are happier when they're rarer and they're swimming in a bigger sea. So the free-to-play players are the krill, and if all the krill get eaten up, then the whales have nothing to eat, and then the whales die. So ultimately, I would like to see this game be really generous to the free-to-play players because they're the bread and butter. I've read a lot of statistics, but the most generous one that I read said something like only 5% of the player base of a mobile game actually spends. So that says to me that 19 out of 20 players are free to play. I don't know if that's true for this game, but if 19 out of 20 players are free to play, make them happy. You just make a happier environment. Everyone's happy, and the game gets better. And people spend because they're having fun, which is what people want to spend their money on. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways it can be interpreted, but at the end of the day, be good at the free-to-play players. They are the heart and soul of the game, and if you keep making them feel like they're spinning their wheels and they'll never get anywhere unless they shell out some money, they're just gonna say up yours and leave because there are plenty of other games that they can enjoy for free. And yeah, at the end of the day, I would like to see the game grow and be enjoyed by a great many people. So I think I've lectured long enough, so I will go ahead and wrap up, but I do still very much enjoy the game. I will, of course, continue to be playing the game. I just wanted to touch on some of the things that people ask me, what would you change? What do you think isn't being done right? But yeah, I'm still having a blast. I will continue to play this game. I'm really excited for 2.1. Can't wait for Save Squads. Super excited for the Magneto Brotherhood team. Can't wait to see the new raids and the new event campaigns. And I think they do an amazing job of just constantly giving us new content it blows my mind when people on Reddit complain about getting new content too fast to keep up. That's absurd. Please, just keep throwing content at me. It would be a dream to be drowning in content and not being able to do all the new stuff. So, yeah, on that note, I will have some more gameplay footage for you guys real soon. Peace!